And we're live. Hello, YouTube.
So I should stop swearing for no reason whatsoever right now.
Yeah, that'd be preferred.
I'll try my
So,
best.
how about we do the show?
Well, or we could just sit around for another half hour doing nothing.
Well, I figured we did that part already.
But yeah, you mean the part where I wasn't programming? Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Just what I want. Another red car. I hate red cars.
When you talk before we start the show, it makes it really frustrating because then I have to edit it out. Okay, ready?
This is me not talking.
I hate you so much.
You asked me a question.
Okay. Tech twice weekly, episode number 6. Welcome to Tech Twice Weekly for August 7th, 2014. My name is Ben White, and thank you for checking out the show. This is a technology news podcast bringing you the latest headlines and discussing them twice a week, every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. For this episode, I'm joined by my frequently returning guest, Eric Fee. How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Got anything special going on?
Nope. Just
All
more
right.
Fallout.
Excellent. Well, I guess I'll get into the headlines then. So, starting us off is news from Digital Trends that T-Mobile has announced it has passed Sprint for the most prepaid subscribers at 15.64 million. Sprint isn't far behind with 15.19 million subscribers that are split between MVNO's Virgin Mobile and Boost Mobile. Rounding out the list of prepaid subscriber counts is AT&T with 11.34 million and Verizon with 6.04 million. Also, in the T-Mobile announcement, CEO John Legere made the statement that he expects T-Mobile will soon surpass Sprint in both prepaid and postpaid subscribers combined. From the sounds of this announcement, earlier reports of Sprint intending to make a bid to buy T-Mobile seem a bit unlikely. You're a T-Mobile subscriber, right, Eric?
Correctamundo. I saw this news article and the way it was written was a little bit wonky. I'd like to point out that uh, T-Mobile is pushing almost all prepaid plans now. The non-contract where you plans are basically pay ahead. So T-Mobile ramping up with all their subscribers and surpassing Sprint on prepaid is not that surprising. Um, and Sprint, I know, also pushes a lot of prepaid plans to users. So these guys being the contenders for the maximum amount of prepaid is pretty normal. I know Verizon is mostly contracts. I just got off a Verizon contract, so it's not that surprising to hear.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because the push T-Mobile has been making lately has all been for their prepaid services, no contract and all of that business. They really very rarely mention any sort of contract plans at all, to the point I'm not even sure if they're actually offering contract plans anymore.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things about subscriber counts for mobile providers is that uh, up here in Portland, we're pretty lucky. All the big carriers are pretty well provided for as far as coverage. One little borough or one little area might be weaker in some and stronger in the other, but the connectivity is pretty good. But in many places, I know some friends of mine live in Southern California, and in their area, non-Verizon providers just don't get very good coverage. So they're a little bit stuck on Verizon. And I know it's that way for many people in the U.S., where their area, they don't have as much choice as they'd like in who their subscriber is. They're kind of a little bit stuck.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's not as bad as some things, like with internet access, for example, but coverage definitely can tend to be one-sided in some areas for sure. Well, moving on, The Verge is covering the news announcement from Google about a slight change to their search algorithm. Google will now be giving a small boost in search results to sites that use HTTPS. While not a huge change, this could begin putting emphasis on encouraging website owners to implement SSL into their sites. HTTPS has become a requirement for online shopping, email, banking websites, but otherwise it hasn't greatly been adopted by the public at large. However, now that Google is ever so slightly prioritizing HTTPS, I hope to see more websites picking up on the trend and giving their users data a little bit more security. Twitch.tv has announced this morning that beginning today, they will be enabling a YouTube like service to identify music copyright violations in video on demand content uploaded to the site. They have partnered with a company called Audible Magic to scan all past and future video on demand content for music owned or controlled by Audible Magic's clients. The service will scan video looking for in game music or ambient background music, and once located, will mute a 30-minute block of the video, which includes the infringing content. There will also be a message added to the video notifying the viewer why that section has been muted. While currently Twitch.tv has said this service will only be scanning video on demand content and not live streaming content, which makes up the majority of the video on Twitch, you have to wonder how long they'll be able to maintain that policy. This also makes me wonder how true the rumors are of Twitch being purchased by Google. I would like to think that if Twitch had been bought by Google, they would be looking to take advantage of the content identification system that YouTube already has rather than implementing their own new solution. So we'll see how that pans out going forward. CNET is covering a report from Broadway Networks examining which states in the U.S. offer the fastest internet access on average for the first quarter of 2014. After going through the data, the winner is Virginia at 13.7 megabits per second. Overall, only 26 states could be called high broadband, meaning they offered over 10 megabits per second, and all states were above the threshold for low bandwidth, meaning that no state in the US offers, on average, internet slower than 4 megabits per second or less. My home state here, Oregon, came in 12th place with 11.7 megabits per second on average. PocketLint reports on a new wireless charging technology from the startup company Ubeam. The Ubeam battery charging concept involves turning power into sound waves, which are then turned back into power once they're heard by your device. Using a 5 millimeter thick plate as a transmitter and a thin receiver attached to the device receiving a charge, the U beam technology is able to charge a device from across a room. One of the biggest current drawbacks, however, is its inability to broadcast the signal through walls. This means you would need to have a transmitter plate in every room you would want a device to be charging. I know you're kind of familiar with wireless charging, Eric. What do you think of this new technology?
I think that at the very least it's a boon. Current QI chargers and stuff don't have such a limited range that even if they can transmit through material, the range is so slow you can't have anything really substantial between them. So at the very least, we're moving up to be able to charge devices from across the room. So you only need one charger when you're moving around in your office or whatever, and you can also place the phone in an opportune area, not having to have a charger directly beneath it. So I'm sure that the technology will be quite well received. It's just we also need to make sure that the receiver isn't too large. With current QI chargers, a lot of phones can be retrofitted with a QI charger behind the battery, and some companies make replaceable battery packs that have a built-in wireless charging.
Yeah, I know a lot of Samsung phones actually offer that option from their Galaxy line.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of wireless charging. I haven't hooked my phone up to charge in months. I I just have a couple strategically placed chargers that allow me to keep the phone unplugged, but still, up to power, regardless if I'm at the office or at home or asleep.
One big question I have about this new technology that wasn't really covered in the article is how many devices at once the transmission plate is able to support charging and what the drop off is between devices. Because charging one device is great, but if I could have an iPad or an Android tablet, my phone, a laptop, all charging simultaneously off one wireless charging transmitter, that would be really impressive.
I'm not a physicist or an applied science major, so I'm not sure uh, of the exact capability, but I would assume that the device puts out a ray of like an omnidirectional or a wider area transmission, and any device that is in range of that transmission can pick it up as long as it's not being consumed by a device around it, i.e., it's not hitting a coil. So as long as you don't stack your iPads, I it sounds to me from the news article that you should be able to charge multiple devices at once. I'm not sure about the power output or the charging speed or anything yet because I don't think the article went into it really deeply, but I'm looking forward to the technology as it comes out, and if they already are making news articles about it and showing it off charging devices, it might be pretty close to market.
Yeah, that's my hope. This is definitely something I plan to keep my eye on its development. And hopefully, when it actually makes its way to market, it's able to come in at a somewhat reasonable price tag for consumers.
Well, I know that QI chargers are very inexpensive right now. Um, I ordered a couple of mine on eBay from Chinese manufacturers to save some money, and I have three of them, and they were $10 each, and they work fairly well. I know that your biggest gripe about QI chargers is the limited range and placement, how you kind of have to have it kind of exact.
Yeah, that's something that's always bothered me about wireless chargers, but that was also a problem with the original wireless chargers. And being completely honest, I haven't kept up on the technology. I just charge my phones the plain old classic method. I plug a cable into the end of it and let it suck up the juice. And so far, that's worked great for me. I haven't had any reason to move into the wireless charging space.
Your lost man is pretty sweet, and I know your phone supports it.
Well, if something like this comes along, I'll definitely be checking it out. All right, let's see here. So, the next story we've got going on, let's see, is from Digital Trends, actually. The Library of Congress has recently discovered an unreleased Duke Nukem title. A congressional librarian was inventorying recent additions to the library when he came across a DVD-R which he thought originally to have video footage of Duke Nukem gameplay. After further investigation, however, it turned out the DVD-R contained the full source code and assets for Duke Nukem Critical Mass, a title originally intended to be released for the PlayStation Portable. Despite a game with the same name being released for the Nintendo DS in 2011, the librarian says this game appears to be very different from that title. There was no reference, unfortunately, to if we're going to be able to see or play this game, but I'm hoping that sometime soon we'll actually be able to get a copy and check it out, maybe using an emulator or something. I'm a longtime fan of the Duke Nukem franchise. What do you have any thoughts on this one, Eric?
I thought we waited so long for Duke Nukem Forever, and they had that lying around. Hmm. All I got to say about that.
The true Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, I liked Duke Nukem Forever. Got a lot of negative criticism, but I thought it was fairly true to the franchise. It was kind of a shoot 'em up craziness, and that's kind of what Duke Nukem was to begin with. I'd be really excited to see what this possibly unfinished and unreleased game might have lying around. Plus, it would probably be fun for a lot of homebrew hackers out there to be able to stick it on their portables and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we see this ported to Android as a sideload option or something like that. Engadget is bringing us news of AMD looking to expand their hardware offerings into the SSD market. AMD is planning to enter into the SSD market under their Radeon R7 brand and initially offering 120 gigabyte, 240 gigabyte, and 480 gigabyte options. Don't get too excited yet, however, as AMD won't be announcing the prices on these SSDs until they officially launch later this year. Personally, I'm kind of interested. I think AMD branded SSD could be good. I know that there's lots of competition in the SSD market space right now, and anything that could potentially drop prices by competition, I favor. Would you pick up one of these AMD SSDs?
I'd be willing to give them a try. There's uh, with SSDs, there's a few major controllers that are on the market right now, and I'm looking forward to see what AMD can bring out if they will be using their own controller or if they'll be using one of the controllers that are already on the market. And AMD has the fabrication capability and the know-how and the money to make a good SSD. They also would hopefully be competing with Intel's SSDs, which are some of the highest quality but also higher priced SSDs in the market. I currently run two SSDs on my computer made by Kingston. One of them is almost 5 years old now, but it's still going pretty strong and it's not wearing out yet, which is I'm very happy for. And I am after owning both these SSDs, I've learned that spinning disk storage is great for when you need a lot of volume, but for a PC, having an SSD is excellent.
Yeah, no, definitely. SSD can make all the difference. I've got a pretty old laptop actually that I was able to breathe new life into simply by putting in a SSD into it. Uh, so one thing I'm wondering about, and which really wasn't mentioned in the Engadget article, it was pretty light on the details, is if AMD will genuinely be making these SSDs in-house or if they're actually arranging a deal to just rebrand someone else's SSDs. Um, I would prefer to see them being made in-house to actually have their own technology competing in the marketplace, but at the same time, it wouldn't really surprise me to see them just be something that's rebranded from another manufacturer either. So, our last headline today comes from Mashable, covering the exciting news on who is the new hit sensation playing Pokemon on Twitch. It's a fish. That's right. Currently, 20,000 people are watching a fish swim around in circles as a webcam captures its location and moves Ash, the Pokemon character, around the screen. So far, Grayson the Fish has been playing for 135 hours and has managed to pick up a single Pokemon named AAAABBK. Excellent naming. And it has actually won its first battle against Squirtle in the opening fight of the game. Miracles upon miracles. If you want to check out the action, we have a link to the show notes, or in the show notes, I should say, at techtwiceweekly.com that will get you straight over to the Twitch feed. I will let you know it's a public feed, it's on the internet, there's a live chat. It's not always work appropriate, so keep that in mind. You can turn off the chat, the stream itself is silent, so well, now it is time to jump into our new segment, Tech Toys You Wish You Could Buy. This week, the first item I've got to look at here is a new top of the line coffee machine. It's a Kickstarter out of San Francisco. Oops, got the video going there. For the Expressivo X1. Currently, the project is looking at a $50,000 goal, and they're about a third of the way there at $37,129 currently, with 289 backers and 19 days left to go. The coffee maker is pretty impressive, I have to say, both functionally. I mean, it makes coffee, but at the same time, it's very artistic. It's definitely a little bit of form over function, I think, even though it does have some really nice features. They're suggesting a retail price of $199, and the coffee maker will be able to brew both coffee and and single espresso shots. So I I could be interested in backing this. I mean, I've got a Keurig, I've got a French press, and getting in on this to be able to actually pick up one of these, you can get in on an early bird for $109 currently, which will get you a white X1 machine and a foamer, plus 60 capsules of their espresso. So I mean, I'm a pretty big coffee fan, but I'm not completely sure if I'm willing to pull the trigger on something that seems almost more art than technology. What do you think, Eric?
Um, I like coffee, but I'm also prone to French press or even cowboy it up with the classic American style. Just boil that crap. Um, I found that a Vietnamese style French press can make some of the best coffee, um, and it makes it quickly, cheaply, and with a great economy both in beans and price because you can get one. It's aluminum that'll last you for years for a few dollars. So it's a little bit difficult for me to want to go out on a limb with a very expensive machine, and not only a very expensive machine, but a machine that also takes capsules, which is why a lot of people don't go with Keurigs or some of those other um, machines that are already on the market that are for your quick and fairly tasty coffee. Even though people have a lot of gripes about Keurig, I actually think they're pretty good in general. So for me, this would be a toy I'm not sure I would want to buy, but if you want to give it to me as a Christmas gift, I will brew some special.
I'll keep that in mind, definitely. But yeah, for the time being, as much as I think this is really cool and I like the futuristic look to it, I I'm just not sure the price tag justifies the function it's offering, especially looking at as its biggest competitor is Keurig, which can be picked up for half the price.
Well, you do get a lot of extra functionality, especially with the espresso and the foamer. It's kind of cool. Um, so I mean, I'm pretty sure that this thing will do well on the market, but it's a little bit more fancy than my tastes. Um,
Yeah, I mean I'm pretty happy with just a basic Starbucks mocha, so I'm not very high frills when it comes to my coffee.
I do think the form is really cool too. If you ask me, the one feature it's really missing is connected house functionality. Come on, man. We got NetBSD on a toaster 15 years ago.
You're right, actually. I'm a little surprised, given all the technology built into this thing, that it doesn't have some sort of connected home functionality. I mean, even just a basic Wi-Fi chip and an API to work with if this then that would be amazing because you'd be able to have it make coffee when you get near the house or when you're up in the morning and your shower turns off to start brewing a cup of joe. That could be a lot of fun.
I love if this then that.
Definitely a lot of functionality in that software or service, I guess would be a better term. The other technology project I want to take a peek at is Light Freak. I'm pretty sure it's how they want you to call it. It's light frequency. So they're trying to be clever. It is a light bulb with a built-in HD audio speaker in it, and it's a multicolor LED light bulb. So the concept here is that you can program this light bulb to change colors in response to different actions. So if you get an email, you could have it turn one color. If you get a phone call from somebody important, you could have a different color. Maybe when it's time to do a certain event on your calendar, a third color comes up. Or if you get a tweet, maybe it turns blue for you. But the other fun technology built into this is something they're calling party mode, which basically reacts to the music coming out of the speaker and will flash a rainbow of colors along with the music. This seems like a lot of fun. I'm really, really tempted to actually pull the trigger on this one, even though it is kind of gimmicky. It seems like a fun gimmick. What do you think, Eric? Is this something you could have some fun with?
Possibly. I like how we're creating apps for basic appliances now. It's pretty neat. I have a bunch of Blink ones, which are a Kickstarter project too, although they're a couple of years old now. But they're a similar concept. They're a USB powered LED light that can be programmed or linked up. They also work with IFTTT to shine different colors based on computer notifications. So if your PC, if you get a tweet or email, whatever, like you said, it can change colors and alert you to what's going on simply by just sticking it out a USB port on the top of your tower or something. So it's a very similar functionality for that one specific use, and those are a few dollars each, I believe, like 10 or 15 or something.
Yeah,
Um,
this project's a little bit spendier than that because in order to buy in, you have to jump in at. see, the $25 level gets you access to the app, but to actually pick up a light bulb, you're looking at a $70 investment.
And they're
Although
almost
clearly it's
out
pop.
too.
Oh, go ahead.
I said that they're almost out of those and the $100 ones. So
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's popular right now. The project is sitting at 321 backers at 4,000 at 40 sorry, $41,689 out of their $50,000 goal, and they've still got 27 days to go. So this is definitely a popular project that I have no doubt is going to complete its funding in no time.
yeah, it looks very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing some YouTube videos of people showing it off.
Yeah, one thing I um, thought was interesting is that they haven't yet set a post Kickstarter retail price. They say they want to focus on just completing the Kickstarter at this time and worry about getting the price ironed out later, which I can appreciate. I think sometimes people look too far in the future when they're working on a Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have a lot of what Kickstarter is great for is boosting the manufacturing and tooling and uh, and helping these inventors get in touch with warehouse manufacturing uh, companies to build it. So the truth is unless you already have those contacts, i.e., you don't need you shouldn't quote unquote need a Kickstarter to get your project off the ground. You really can't iron out a price, because it may cost $125 retail based on how much it costs to produce and the tooling. It may cost 60. They won't know until they get further down the line and have a real manufacturing line set up.
Yeah, and I think that's something a lot of people who haven't been involved in manufacturing don't quite grasp is how expensive tooling and minimum order quantities can be to get something created, even if you're going with an overseas, like Chinese production company. Could be looking at tens of thousands of dollars just to get your first batch off the conveyor belt.
Yeah, and then you need to find buyers. That's what Kickstarter is perfect for, are inventors like this who have the product, can do the prototypes, but can't mass produce it, and they don't have the means to do so yet. This allows them to get the initial funding so they can order that first batch that will hopefully have more than they would be giving as gifts on Kickstarter, so they can actually start selling them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this I think this product is definitely going to do well. I'd love to have some in my home, especially here in my makeshift studio. I think something like that could be really great, especially if it supports dimming and functions like that. It could give a lot of functionality that way. Um, but
IFTTT support.
you see, right there, that's really great. Oh, when I start broadcasting, change the lights to this. Automatically, nothing I have to worry about. That would be a really nice feature to have.
It'd be great to be able to have them automatically turn on and off too, in case you forget, or when you're arriving home after work, you can say, "Hey, turn the lights on. Hey, turn the lights
Right.
off, and dim up
Yeah.
and dim down."
Right. When my phone connects to the Wi-Fi of this Wi-Fi access point, turn the lights on.
Totally.
Well, those are our tech toys. Normally, at this point, we would jump into discussion, but we kind of got into our discussion a little bit early today, covering some of the stories earlier. Were there any topics you wanted to jump back to and kind of expand on, Eric? It was kind of a
Uh,
quiet news day overall.
yeah, I just like to make a small mention about Google's HTTPS search preferences.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, as a developer who runs his own um, website, I use a VPS, and I use a relatively well-known service, and their service has been great, and the price is great. But something that people need to understand about HTTPS is that if you aren't using a hosting company that can set that stuff up for you automatically, if you're running your own, then you need to be familiar with SSL, and you also need to purchase your own certificate. Some certificates can be cheap, but some certificates can be very expensive, especially if you have multiple domains like I do. And if you have domains with subdomains like I do, it can cost hundreds of dollars a year to have SSL affecting everything on your website. And when Google, I'm not saying Google shouldn't do what they're doing, because I think that HTTPS for big boys is very, very, very important. I also think HTTPS for shopping carts is completely mandatory, and for any place where you have an account or you log in. But at the same time, by by moving the little guys down who have regular chump websites that don't have logins, don't have special frills, but just are purely content based, homebrew based type websites, they can be kind of getting screwed here, um, which is unfortunate because either they have to pony up potentially a chunk of change, or they have to risk getting stuck behind copycats and websites that are reporting up or talking about them, but aren't their website. So I'm a little bit conflicted on this.
That's actually a really good point, and something I hadn't really considered. The fact that, in a way, this is going to allow people, however minor, to buy their way up in Google search results simply because if you have the money to drop on a SSL certificate to get HTTPS set up and running, it's going to let you take advantage of that small search result bump that Google's giving to those sites. And if I'm running just a basic website, maybe it's just something where it's read only. There's not even a login, not a WordPress site or anything like that, but just a pure traditional text only website. I genuinely have no need for an SSL certificate. There's nothing to be secured because the only data I'm passing back to the visitor is the text and maybe some images and the CSS rules for the website. And now, because of this decision by Google, my site is going to fall behind everyone else on the search results who just happen to be able to drop the cash on getting an unnecessary SSL certificate.
It's perplexing.
Yeah, it's a it has its benefits, but it definitely has some concerns that go along with it. Well, thank you for bringing that up, though. That's getting your insight from a programmer and a developer's perspective is really beneficial because that's just not something I would have considered in regards to that change at all.
Yeah, I purchased an SSL certificate for my email, and it was kind of like a basic version, only for one domain, no subdomains, no whatever, and it costs money, and I was looking at how I wanted to upgrade all my sites and everything I host to SSL, but it was prohibitively expensive for things that make me no money.
Right, and I think that's the big thing is you're going to have money is going to help in search results, which it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, the unfortunate truth is that it already does. It's just people who are really smart and dedicated, or who have an understanding of search engine optimization, their that education, which cost them something, even if it was just time, which of course is always worth money, that will get them ahead of the guy who doesn't have any search optimization skills, or who won't pay someone to come in and help optimize their website for search results.
Very true. Yeah, that's definitely a truth with Google and search results.
Well, now it's another thing you need to buy. Another more money needs to be spent in some direction or another for that. It's just kind of stacking up on the already hard to get search rank.
Well, on that sobering truth, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here tonight. So, I want to thank everyone for checking out the show again. And Eric, is there anything you've got going on or anything you want to share with the listeners?
Not recently. I have been getting some programming done, and I hope to have some really cool upgrades for my own personal website very soon. For any listeners who are interested, my personal website is obliterationoflogic.com. It is very personal and might not be safe for work depending on your um, language requirements, as it is personal. So you would see a side of me that you only see by reading it. And also, of course, my podcast, which is habitually guest filled by Ben, um, After Hours Doc, Pro Cyclers After Hours, which the website is procyclers.com/after hours. Come and join us as we get a little bit loose and crazy. Thank you for listening.
Definitely. And if anybody wants to check out the site, we are at techtwiceweekly.com. You can go there, subscribe to the podcast. We also are on Twitter at techtwiceweekly. Or if you're interested, you can follow me on Twitter directly at Aractor, Aractor. I post randomly throughout the week, whatever comes to mind, random thoughts, random retweets from friends and other interesting people that I follow. And if you ever want to submit a story, we do have a subreddit at techtwiceweekly.reddit.com. Hoping to kind of start building a community there. I'm going to start tracking the articles from the show in the subreddit as well, just to get things moving, get us started. So we're out there. If you're looking for us, drop Tech Twice Weekly into Google, and I'm sure we're going to come up somewhere in the results, even if we're behind the SSL guys. So that being said, have a good night, everybody. We will be back Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, covering whatever comes out in the news between now and then. I hope you catch us, and we'll be back. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a good night. All right, and that's a show.
You don't actually have the Tech Twice Weekly subreddit, by the way.
Yeah. Uh, ooh, you're right. I think it's TTW. I think I
That
ended up with ttw.reddit.com.
that is already a subreddit that's Minecraft oriented and
TTW is?
and private. Yes. I'm looking at your user, Aractor, on Reddit. You are captain of Minecraft Me and Tech Brews.
Oh, did I never make? Oh, I guess I need to make it then.
Make it now. And add me as a moderator.
I guess I intended to make that subreddit.
Take us not live also.
Sure, we can go offline. Thank you, everybody. We will catch you on Monday. Have a good night.